Hello, good morning. Oh gosh, I'm hoping you guys can see me. Okay, so welcome everybody. Oh my gosh, it's a Monday of technical difficulties, so I may have to do this video in an edited version, but I'm hoping you can see me. I tried to do it in landscape mode, but at any rate, my big computer is updating for some reason. So today we are going to talk about cold weather immune care. We're first going to cover a whole bunch of news regarding the pandemic and the extreme state of unprecedented surge we're experiencing. And I'm going to cover a whole bunch of you are working at home now. Many of you are looking at schools closing shortly. Anticipation of schools closing and anticipation of going into some sort of spring-like type of lockdown phase. So welcome to all of you joining on the live. This might be a little bit of a different show format, but at any rate, I want to share with you a whole bunch of news. But first, I have to share with you before I forget. Hey, good morning, Pat. Hey, everybody. This is really exciting. So the holiday sales are taking a different shape. As many of you might have been experiencing, the Black Friday is not going to be happening like the same that it used to. And a lot of vendors are now turning to online sales or sales throughout the month of November. So my friends over at Aaliyah, same thing. They've gone online. And this is their beauty bonus bag. This is a $75 or $70 value, and you purchase a certain quantity of goods, you get that for free, or you can buy it outright. And this is so great. So I have to share with you that. The other thing I have to share with you all, if you are new and tuning in, I have put together my second guide, my pandemic wellness guide. This is a free download. There isn't a link in the description box below. This is going to be really critical for many of you who might be experiencing exposure or dealing with friends and family who are getting calls from contact tracers, or if you are looking to keep you and your loved ones healthy and safe during this time. That is a really critical resource for you. It's, I think, 7 or 8 pages of a lot of impactful tips. It also has a shopping list, and that is available for free through my Fullscript store. That is my clinical online scripting store. So once you are in, you have to sign up and register as a patient. It does meet HIPAA requirements, so you have to set up your own account. And once you have an account, you have access to all my links. And this is linked to the free, this is a PDF that is linked to one of my protocols. So it's my COVID specific protocol, and is very much a very good resource if you're looking at prevention and also management of a viral invasion. Today, I want to talk to you about specifically the topic at hand. I want to talk to you about us entering the cold season, and how cold weather changes and affects our immune system, and how we need to be ready to address that. Because many of you who are taking all of the appropriate measures and social distancing, you still might be working, you still might be out and about, and you're same with your family, children, spouses, loved ones, friends, neighbors. These are going to be tips that you want to be mindful of and really implement on a daily basis. Many of these to help support all of the orifices, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your throat, that are going to be the core infection points. And so if we keep those main areas of the body healthy, as the winter time approaches and we have cooler, less humid air, this will also help support your body's natural immune system to combat any type of illness. So stay tuned for that. That will be in the second half of the show. The first half, I really want to talk about this unprecedented surge we are experiencing here in the US. And just globally, we are part of the massive surge happening. The majority of the cases are coming from the United States. We have surpassed all other countries, sometimes by 3 to 4 times where they're at, sometimes 6 times the next high, the other countries that are just below us in daily cases. But right now, the US is at 11.6 11.1 million cases. We hit 1 million cases yesterday, and we in 1 week hit 1 million cases. So the previous mark where we went from 8 to 9 million took 2 weeks, and the point where we went from 9 to 10 million took 10 days, and then 1 million took a week. So we are closing that gap. We're seeing the incremental exponential growth of the virus. And so if we kind of extrapolate, if we keep going the way we are, we will probably hit another million in 5.5 days. So probably by Friday's video, potentially, we might be at 12 million if things go the same way. One of the things that we are seeing here in the US, 49 out of 50 states have had increases. 34 are in a surge mode, and that puts you in a green or an orange category. So there's different kind of scaling. Red is red alert. We've got Texas and some other states in that category, but 34 are seeing significant surges. For some reason, I'm slightly skeptical, but for some reason, Georgia is not included in that where I live. But the way people operate down here, nobody wears masks. I mean, they do when they're in stores, but I've seen them, people, pull their masks down. They're not wearing them appropriately. I mean, that just completely defeats the purpose. So I do want to notate Georgia will probably join the ranks and be with the other 49 states. But this week, 49 out of 50 have increased. We have seen 45 states have had more cases this week than they did last week, and they had more hospitalizations as well. Some of the things that I want to make you aware of just internationally, because there's some relation here. The UK, the political figures, they all had some sort of event, and that has become a super spreading event. So COVID does not discriminate against gender and age and ethnic, socioeconomic ethnicities, and it also doesn't discriminate based on what you do or what type of job you are in. The prime minister is yet again in a lockdown. He's had exposure. He claims he has massive antibodies, but the reality is we have seen cases, you can get COVID for the second time. Some people, the first was minor, the second's the more severe. Sometimes it's flip-flopped, it kind of depends. So there are a multitude of MPs that are in isolation. I think it's a total of 12 right now that have had direct contact with this COVID positive individual. Sorry, I'm drinking some warm coffee in my mug. It's nice and cool out today. Also, internationally, Nigeria is looking at lockdowns and restrictions, and Southern Australia, Adelaide, I actually had a friend when I lived in Japan from Adelaide. They've seen a cluster of cases. Now, this is all relative. Here in the US, we have hundreds of thousands of cases on a daily basis. But in South Australia, their cluster that they are freaking out and looking at not locking down, but putting in restrictions, they've had 17 cases. So that, I hope, puts in perspective. We can get desensitized to the nature of the cases. And, here in the States, yesterday, we posted 139,000 new positive cases. Friday, we had our worst day yet. We had over 184,000 new cases. So it becomes really easy to just go, oh, it's 184,000. But, when countries are freaking out about 17 cases, we need to really take note. I do want to highlight something that is really big, research that came out over the weekend. Tumori, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Tumori, Tumori journal. It's a cancer journal. In Italy, the National Cancer Institute in Milan had been conducting a lung cancer screening trial. And they had been scanning and blood testing individuals who were in this lung cancer screening trial. And the research actually turned to assess if there was any evidence that maybe these individuals in the trial had been exposed to or had experienced lung challenges due to potentially COVID. Well, the shocking results are that this study, this cancer, National Cancer Institute of Italy in Milan, the study about lung cancer screening showed that Italy had cases of the COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 virus in as early as September. That is the most backdated yet research that we have that indicates the virus was around well before December, where Wuhan got had this major severity, and there's a potential that maybe it didn't originate there. I don't know. That's going to be something that remains to be studied. But what is really interesting is out of these participants in this lung cancer trial, 11.6% of these patients actually showed antibodies to COVID. Four of the cases, they showed 4 cases in the first week of October had COVID. And it's very, very fascinating news. This may get buried here in the US. I'm not sure, but at any rate, I want to share with you kind of what all is going on. But this just indicates that this has been around a lot longer than we even expected or anticipated. And the way science and research works is, and I'm sorry, I can't see all of your, oh, here we are. There's the live chat. I'm working off of my phone this morning, so it's a little weird. One of the things that we need to be aware of is science continues to do its study and assessment, and we're going to learn more. We're going to learn more about how to treat this. We're going to learn about the methodologies that work. We're going to learn more about how this virus affects the body during the infection and post-infection. So we're learning on the fly, and one of the things that we need to be really aware of is in this pandemic surge, this unprecedented surge, this is all happening before the US and a lot of international countries kick off the holiday season. And so we have a multitude of winter holidays in December that are often gathering points. And so we need to be really cognizant of that. And I'm going to report to you some things that are going on because of the anticipation of Thanksgiving. We saw in the last several days, on Friday, we had 184,000 new cases. Saturday, we had 156,000 new cases. Sunday, we had 139,000 new cases. We are starting to see delays again in testing locations. Drive-through testing, some appointments are now backdated. It takes 7 to 8 days to get an appointment. One of the things that we see with regard to the testing capacity, the faster you can get you can get a test and get in with results, that will cut down on the community spread. And we're already seeing that stretch thin. It's not like we did not know that this was coming, and there was a lot of anticipation for the preparation for winter is coming. The fall and winter months are going to be really challenging because it's also cold and flu season. So, and thank you, Pat, for communicating to everybody. I'm not on my desktop right now. It's actually still doing its thing, and so I'm working off my iPhone. So FYI. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some predictions. The IMHE, that's in Seattle, it's the Institute of Metrics for Health Evaluations. This is the main body that puts into place all of the different things that are happening right now. Hospitalizations, the illness rates of healthcare workers, mask mandatings, lack of lockdowns, all these different factors and variables to anticipate what we might be seeing with the nature of our fatality rate. They also extrapolate other things, quantity of cases, kind of growth and spread throughout the US. But one of the things now they've released up to March, they're expecting, I'm projecting on March 1st, we will see 439,000 COVID-related deaths. And again, I want to clarify, a COVID-related death would be dying of pneumonia, a heart attack, blood clots, complications from COVID-related surgeries, strokes. There are a multitude of secondary conditions that come from COVID that are fatal. And one of the challenges that we're seeing right now is that a lot of these rural small hospitals are deemed critical access community hospitals. Most of the time, they don't have full respiratory care resources. They don't always have all the equipment, nor the personnel with the expertise to do a lot of the extra COVID related ICU type of care. Many of these hospitals might be fitted for one or two kind of ICU beds, if that. And a lot of these patients are getting transferred out. So your rural community hospital that's a critical access hospital will have only 25 beds. In a community where, let's say, 5,000 people are COVID positive, and we know a certain percentage of them become severe, that's putting a strain in the rural communities. And they often are having these small town hospitals calling the larger community hospitals or larger, bigger city university hospitals and major trauma level 1 and 2 and even 3 settings for for transfer of patients. And one of the things that they've identified, and I was reading this weekend, is that some of these patients are waiting weeks. Some of them are dying before they can even get there, and they're dying en route. For example, in the last small little town in the Midwest, in 6 days, 6 people died waiting to get transferred out, and 2 died in 24 hours. So that is really, really critical. And I'm seeing somebody, I think you're new, Ted Z. Sorry, but this is the way our live goes. You can watch it on the replay and fast forward. And that tends to be what I recommend. Okay, so I have a format here, as many of our regular viewers know, and my on demand, if you want to ask questions or get specifics related to your questions, watch on Friday. I answer questions then. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on just kind of globally here throughout the US. We have seen North Dakota last week. They had at the end of last week they said that any asymptomatic healthcare professionals, and this includes people at the point of registration, taking your insurance card, to your respiratory therapist, to cafeteria workers, everybody in that setting. Anybody who is asymptomatic they add a mandate that they could work. This is really alarming. We now, through the amount of cases, the amount of community spread, our COVID state has deemed us a humanitarian crisis, an international humanitarian crisis. And this has triggered Doctors Without Borders to come to the US. This is something that's usually the reverse. A lot of times I have friends that have done this in all walks of medical and dental life. Doctors Without Borders generally go to second, third world countries that are having a critical crisis. Ebola was an example of that. But the US now is in this current state. And that is just really alarming. And we need to really wrap our head around that. We have a meltdown of epic proportions. And there is no national leadership. There's no national party or group that is actively helping each of the states. Basically, it's each governor in each state is on their own, and it's very localized. Because of that, what we're seeing here is things like Wyoming. They set over the weekend record hospitalizations and record deaths. Wyoming is beginning to freak out. The governor is communicating that there are going to be changes coming in place for Wyoming. I don't know what their name is. Wyomans? I don't know. So, but folks, the residents of Wyoming. Ohio is this week enforcing and making stricter mask mandates for businesses. So folks that have to work in a business and folks that have to frequent and go to a business. In let's see, Missouri, schools are closing or being shut down for I believe it's Missouri. Schools are closing for 3 weeks. Oh, no, sorry. It's with Michigan. I'm reading that wrong. Michigan. Schools are closing for 3 weeks in Michigan. Washington is shutting down and closing gyms, restaurants, and theaters. New Mexico is having a shutdown for 2 weeks. Oregon has a 2-week lockdown. They're limiting gym, restaurants, and gatherings of 6 or more people. Virginia is limiting gatherings of 25 or more and implementing a 10 p.m. curfew. They have also mandated masking for 5 and older, which, by the way, now that we're talking about masks, let's see. I have to share with you guys. We did my Healthy Holiday gift guide. We did some imaging and some video content over the weekend. And one of the things that we had, because it is 2020, it's a pandemic year, myself, my family, and Santa were all wearing masks. I got these cute masks. Look at this from Target in the dollar bin area. This is super cute. This fits an adult. I think it was either $1 or $3. But they have little ones, like there's a Santa Claus one that can fit an adult. This can also fit an older child. And they had smaller versions. I got Gabriel Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it has little red nose. Super, super cute. So the mask mandating in Virginia, just highlight, they're now 5 years and older have to wear masks. Puerto Rico is implementing a 10 p.m. curfew and are going to be utilizing our National Guard to reinforce that. North Dakota has a mask mandate, and they're limiting gatherings through December 13th. So this is really critical because that's going to involve Thanksgiving holidays. Philly is banning indoor dining. Maryland is reducing indoor dining and indoor capacity. It had kind of gone down to a level of 75%. Now they've moved it up to 50% or less of indoor capacity. The Navajo Nation, they've taken their kids all virtual learning for kids, and they've closed non-essential government services. Arkansas, the governor there, this is a Republican governor, he has created a winter COVID-19 task force. Arkansas has been in a spike and surge category. And this is where another kind of situation where each state is taking this on. And the challenge is that a lot of states, especially if you are in an area where you're in a corner or touching, you're on a border, you might be frequenting one state that has different mandates and requirements than your state. And what the states are seeing, like New York, the tri-state spread was a big part of New York's surge in the spring. And we're hoping that we could learn from that. And again, Bumblebee, thank you. Everybody give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. We've got 100 concurrent on. Usually we have about 3,000 or 4,000 people who join us on our live show. So I'd love for you to hit that share button to invite your friends and family to watch this on the replay. Minnesota, I have a lot of friends and family that are up there. Minnesota set record cases on Saturday. The Department of Health is rolling out a lot of different new rules. One of our family members is in a senior living facility up there, and she's in a place where it's a small town. Her assisted living facility, she's more independent than some of her other fellow people, but residents, but she's on like the first floor, but like the second and third floor are hospital beds and hospice care, and then they've got kind of an urgent care setup. And she said that certain areas in this community, the public can walk in and she could have engagement with them. So I was conversing with her online, and she was really concerned because they've had already in the small community, it's the only hospital in this community, and it serves a huge area, rural area. 2 of the workers have had tested positive, and it's possible that spread could easily move through. Arizona also set records on Saturday, and their records, I do want to note, the record that they set on Saturday was worse than the highest day that they saw in the late spring, early summer when it was so high. So, I am going to be reporting things that are not fabulous. It's a bleak outlook. It's only going to get worse. And so just know that there are going to be details and things that are not happy. I end this news with happy before we go into our cold immune care. So stay with me. I promise you're going to like the happy part. Virginia, they have just identified that there's a massive jail outbreak. 100 inmates and 5 staff members have COVID, and this jail outbreak is going to be a big it's one of these super spreader events. And the jails have had issues because of sanitation. The other challenge in jails, just like rural communities, they don't have I know folks that have worked in these settings, they have infirmaries, but they're not equipped for, ventilation and respiration. So, that is really, really critical. So, and Queen, I'm just pulling up your live. Queen 2-1. I think we need national mandates. I live in Texas in a hotspot. We're level red. We can't get people to wear masks. Yeah, the whole masking it continues to be an absolute ridiculous point. The reality is this is not about personal freedom. It's about personal responsibility. Patriots, any individual who's part of American society, we do all these things to protect each other. We stop at red lights and stop signs. We wear our seatbelts. There are all these things that we do that people initially balked at, but now we do it. It's commonplace. Wearing a mask, and there are a lot of great festive masks. I'll do kind of a festive mask video at some point, probably on my Instagram TV, which isn't queued up today because of my technical issues. But, this won't kill you. Some people are experiencing allergic reactions, but you have to try out different things. What we're seeing is I'm a mom of a 5-year-old. We're seeing people acting like toddlers. And the reality is when our son doesn't do what we ask him to do, we give him some warnings and then he has consequences. We are by no means a family that has extreme consequences. We don't actually use timeout, but there are things he loses, privileges. We have a positive reward system. We're teaching him to work for the good of the family. And that is what we are doing as American citizens. And so, I don't want to name call, but the reality is that this is scientifically proven that when you wear a mask, you not just protect yourself, you protect others, you protect yourself. And like this material, this is an example. This is a polyester material, a cotton material in the back, 2 layers. And this is a good example of a high quality type of mask that is going to limit, the spread of the virus. Now, is it the best mask because it doesn't cinch down? No. Does it lock down here? But we were out doing holiday photos outside at a Christmas tree farm, and this is perfect. So there are different levels and types of masks that you can wear in different settings, but people just need to get on board and stop, trying to use ridiculous arguments to do what they want to do. And so we have a bunch of 5-year-olds running around infecting people. And there was a massive event in DC. I'm all for protesting and utilizing our constitutional rights. But when they're not wearing masks, they're going to be super spreading events because they're going to be infecting people all over. So that's my one little aside. I do want to highlight that masking does work. It is highly effective. It helps other people. Until we have some sort of national clearinghouse and education, we need education to happen for people to get on board. It's unfortunate that a lot of people, their education is losing a family member. And that is a terrible way to learn this lesson. It's not hard and difficult to buy a mask, and they're being sold everywhere. Grocery stores or online, there are convenience stores. And that is one of the things I want to highlight. They're already predicting that the transition delays between the current administration and the future administration, the Trump to Biden transfer, because that has not been authorized because of ridiculous politics, it is not just only a public health safety issue, it's also a national security risk. And Pfizer, that pharmaceutical drug that is the most likely first vaccine to hit the market, it has really unique requirements. It has to be stored at -70 degrees. It requires special refrigeration and storage. It's not even refrigeration, it's put on dry ice. That then, if it's unstable for over an hour, it's not effective. There's no way to test to see if it's not effective. But one of the things that is really critical is we need to have some sort of process in place. Do we need trucks that have dry ice? Are we working with dry ice companies to make sure we're getting a lot more? There's actually a huge national dry ice company up in New England, up in Boston area. I don't know what their capacity is, and it's not my place to know, but it doesn't seem like we're having any type of discussions right now by the current administration when leadership hasn't even been present for 5 months, over 5 months in these talks. So, it's very challenging. We are in a bleak state. All of us have had plans canceled. We're all trying to do our best, but it takes all of us working together. And so my hope is that in my little small circle here in the US and in the world, that many of you go out and spread the news and communicate to your friends and family the scientific truth about this. So let's talk about the vaccine. I've got one other little tidbit to share with you. Moderna, another vaccine here, trial in the US. They've had their trials are much smaller. They've had 15,000 participants in their trial. It's a two dose as well. The first dose was not the best. In terms of accuracy, they had way more people actually come into contact or not come into contact, but come down and be infected with COVID. And as a result of that infection, they had a number of individuals get seriously ill. The second trial, 15,000, 2 doses. That data, they've released it. I haven't seen it in a scientific journal, but they've released it in the company, on the company website, and I've got a memo that highlights it's coming. The data shows it's actually better than Pfizer. Pfizer's a 90% effective, 90% effective. This, Moderna, is 94.5% effective. Out of 15,000 participants in the study, they get either somebody got a placebo, like a saline shot, or they got the vaccine twice. So 2 saline shots or the vaccine twice. Out of the individuals who participated, 19 contracted COVID. 5 of them were seriously ill, and the side effects of the vaccine were body aches and headache. That is very positive. Now, that is early stage. Like, they literally released it. It's like a 1-page, 2 or 3. It's actually 3 pages. The memo. It takes a few weeks, sometimes a month or 2, for them to put that together, and we might see that be posted in one of the medical journals. And I'll highlight that, print that off, and read it to you when it comes out. With that being said, they're nowhere near the data that they've got to put together and compile from these trials to then seek emergency use authorization from the FDA. So the company, the CEO, announced that more than likely beginning access for the US to get this vaccine by Moderna would begin in June of 2021. So we are months out, 7-8 months out of even getting access to this. So it's a slow process, but that is very, very positive. Okay, and before we dig into cold weather immune care, I want to share with you a positive story. So I read that today, the U.S. Postal Service is launching their Operation Santa, and they've been doing this Operation Santa for, I think it's 108 years, where children and even parents, but mostly children, write in. There's a special address, and it goes to Santa Claus. And the U.S. Postal Service has people that answer and respond to these letters of children requesting things like, my parents work really hard. I live in a 1-bedroom house, and my parents sleep on the sofa. Can Santa bring them a sofa bed? Or a child that has special needs and they're in an old wheelchair, asking for an updated wheelchair and treats for their service dog. Or parents that are homeless and living in their car, asking for toiletries and basic needs. So this Operation Santa, this year, it's taking a digital form, and I'm so excited. So I will post, I didn't get a chance in the description. I'm going to post it, but you guys can write this down. You can search it, super easy. It's USPSOperationSanta.com. And currently, today it launches, so kids can start writing in, families can start writing in. On the 4th, and I'll announce it as we get closer, on the 4th of December, we, from all over the US and even all over the world, if you want to, you can log in and pick a letter or 2 or a dozen or however many. You can pick letters and adopt these children and families. And they're the type of letters that it is not child asking for an Xbox or something really expensive. They're asking for basic needs. And these are the kids that are getting hit hard by COVID, closures of businesses and things like that. So of all the times, this would be one I'd ask for you to put it on your list if you're feeling charitable. We will be adopting them, and it might be something where I might do like a GoFundMe or some sort of, I don't know, Venmo thing where we as a community here at Natural Resources raises money and adopts all these kids and families. So stay tuned for that. This is a season where if you can, it's definitely welcomed. Okay, let's dig into our news today. It's been a Monday, technical issues and all whatnot, but I want to share with you the topic specifically, and let me write down our timestamp. Okay, so the topic at hand today I wanted to talk to you all about is how to deal with your immune health during the cold winter months. This is when we see our immune health, as well as other elements and compounds like vitamin D that contribute to our immunity, dip. And so I want to share with you some things that are going to be critical to help you and your families get through the cold winter months, to support your eyes, your nose, and your mouth health, your oral health, to combat any type of infection, viral, bacterial, or any type of regular common cold and flu and the SARS-CoV-2. So first of all, I do want to recommend, if you're thinking about traveling this season, table it. It is we just have no way of knowing between now and December 18th, 19th, 20th, 22nd, when people start to travel. We don't know where we're going to be at. Just knowing that in the last 7 days, we posted 1 million new cases, and it's exponentially growing, where it was 2 weeks to get to 8 to 9, and then 10 days from 9 to 10, and then 7 days to get from 10 to 11. We might be putting up, several 100,000 new cases on a daily basis, and the infection will be so systemic that it's better to stay at home. So I advise that what's best is talk with your family, assess your travel plans, but that plays into how do we get through the winter months. So first of all, let's talk about our eyes. One of the things that we noticed in the winter months, eyes are always exposed, and it's drier, cooler air, and our eyes will get drier. If you're like me, you wear contacts, you might even be more sensitive to the cold air, and it becomes really, really dry and just affects the way that your natural immunity of your eye is able to get rid of through, tears or gunkiness to eradicate infection or any type of viral exposure. So one of the things that I want to communicate is that there are saline drops, and I'm trying to see if I brought them down with me. I was gathering everything this morning as I was getting ready. There are saline homeopathic drops by Similicin. I'll post the link after. But they have for dry eye, allergies. You want to make sure you're lubricating your eye gently. Do I recommend a dry eye? Yes, there are liquid dry eye drops, but I don't recommend the ones that are like I think it's Clear Eye is the name of it, where it's for like redness. It has some chemicals that can alter your immune state. So I'd prefer that and recommend you go with something that's saline based. Homeopathics are wonderful. Okay, so that's number one, eye care. Then let's talk about nose care. So many of you, I'm hoping, are going to be supporting or sporting your masks. Now, even still, with cold air and wearing a mask, and I can attest to this, it was really cold Saturday morning when we were doing our photos outside. You still get cold air in through your mask, and the environment can be overwhelming, especially when you go from outside and then into heat. That tends to dry out the sinus cavities. So you always want to have saline spray on tap. And where you want to get these this particular saline, Simply Saline, I love this brand. It's really great. You want to have buy the 3 and 5 packs of this, because you want to have one in your car, you want to have one in your purse, you want to have one at your office and one in your home. And this is the other thing. Each person should have their own spray. You do not want to cross spray or cross mingle the sprays, because you actually insert it. So see, I insert it up into my nose. If you use this between family members, now this is a potential point of spread. And it does have like a few little kind of dots here. Even wiping this down that's just, no, you want to have your own. So, we have a label maker. I label the names too. But saline spray is going to be critical to lubricate and give your sinuses the moist they need to maintain the health. But then the saline part, this is where saline's great. Saline will get rid of any extra mucus. And a lot of times you might have kind of a dry nose, but it's running. That is a kind of breeding ground for potential bacterial viral infection. Allergens also get in there. So saline sprays are going to be great in the morning. Anytime you get back in your car, or if you go into a new environment. Saline sprays are a front line for viral invasion, and you just spray up your nose. Salt is one of the best antimicrobial, antiviral, natural compounds out there, and you can use this in a way that serves and functions to protect and coat your sinus cavities, so that you don't have such a dry sinus that when you blow your nose, you're bleeding. And, we've all kind of been there where it's like really dry and all of a sudden you blow your nose. It's really critical. So that is number one. There are also, if you have a lot of allergies or asthma or kind of experience a lot of those symptoms, you can also do, let me see if I have it over here. You can also do what is it called? Let me think. I'm trying to remember what it's called. There's a homeopathic that I've recommended, and it's Xlear. It has I believe it has grapeseed extract with xylitol. So that's another kind of you can up your ante. So if you're kind of noticing, even doing this, saline's misting, you're just giving some, misting of the sinus cavity. If you notice you're still kind of dealing with puffiness or a lot of mucus, you can do the Xlear, and that is really good. The xylitol will actually serve and function as like an antibacterial, really, really good for eradicating any type of sinus grief. So the saline and the homeopathic spray is good for the nose. And again, the other thing too is, especially, and I noticed this weekend, I'm wearing my mask, it's cold out, my nose starts to run. So you want to not wear the same mask over and over throughout the day. You may want to have like your run to the store mask. Hopefully, you're limiting your running to the store, but if you're engaging outside, your kids are doing sports, have a different mask. And so you switch masks throughout the day, because this cotton, it's somewhat moisture wicking, but this could be a point of bacterial spread. So, you really want to make sure that you're using clean materials and replacing them regularly. So, definitely stock up on your masks. The other thing I do want to recommend, link down below, I have a mask vendor. Now they're a disposable mask vendor that has a really good deal on masks. So there's a coupon code down below. And then my friend Sarah's making a ton of masks. She has really cute materials, and there are a ton of resources down below. So do check that in the description box as well. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the oral cavity. And the oral cavity is something you want to keep healthy by maintaining good oral health, the flossing, the brushing your teeth, brushing your tongue, gargling, those are all critical. But then you need to up it. I recommend that you grab an oral probiotic, and this is different type of bacteria. Specifically, we have oral bacteria that needs to be balanced. It's called Oral Probio. I have a link down below. It has two types of healthy bacteria. It's Salivarius K12 and Salivarius M18. These two bacteria, when they are balanced, and this literally is this little, it's like a little mitt, and I brush my teeth at night and stick this under my tongue. The oral bacteria, when it's balanced, you actually reduce the likelihood of having throat infections and even sinus and ear infections. So a lot of my popular content is ear, nose, and throat health. And it's related to a lot of fluid and puffiness in the ears. If you are dealing with fluid in your ears, chronic sinus infections, you might get strep throat, swollen lymph nodes, and you're feeling just really kind of sore, raspy throat. This has to be a part of your mix. This also is maintenance. Every day, this will help you maintain good oral health. Your dentist will also notice that you have less plaque, so that reduces dental plaque as well. I love that. The other thing that I recommend, and this is a newer find, and I'll share with you my gum. The immunity. Mighty Gum has immune-oriented gum. And so chewing healthy gum, like a xylitol gum, and this has the healthy bacteria, antibacterial xylitol, but this is micro immunity in a gum. So it's a click pack, so individually packed. It's very, very yummy. This has a papaya and elderberry flavor. It's flavored with papaya and elderberry, but it also has functional mushrooms like shiitake, and it has zinc. It has astragalus, an herb I've mentioned on my lives quite a bit. It also has ashwagandha. It has reishi, has vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and it's naturally occurring vitamin E from papaya. It has B6, 3 milligrams of zinc. This is very powerful. And so I've got links down below to Mighty Gum. This is, I love this stuff. I chew this all the time. And, this is, I'll show you, it's a big thing of gum. Let me get this out again. It's a big tab. So it's not like your small little gum, like you're getting a good amount of gum, but you're also getting microdosing of a lot of immune boosting. So gum wise and oral health, an oral probiotic and Mighty Gum, and also adding a xylitol gum, having those three in your mix, really critical. Tongue scraping is something you can do regularly. I love tongue scraping. Most of your bacteria, honestly, friends, is on your tongue. If you're not brushing your tongue, you are leaving a lot of bacteria, food particles left in your mouth. And so, all the way to the back, you can scrape your tongue. And when you start tongue scraping, it's like overwhelming. You'll find like, oh my God, it's gross. But if you notice like you have a film on your tongue, it helps to eradicate some of the candida that people are experiencing. If you have candida in your mouth, more than likely you've got it in oral sinus cavity and the back of your throat. Now, I also want to share with you some other things that you should have on hand. One of the things when we are masking, and I actually love this with this, I've tried this out. I recommend an herbal infused. You guys know my herbal, my 3-letter herbal, the C, bumblebee D. That is an herbal infusion you can find it's an ointment. It gets billed as pain relief, but honestly, I wish I had smell-o-vision for you. So as you can tell, I love my bottle or my jar. This is menthol and camphor enhanced. And when I smell it, it's like Vicks on steroids. Very potent in terms of opening up the sinuses. You can use this especially in the winter months, you can coat your throat, the back of your neck, around your ears. You can also put a little dab here around the nose area. And so as you're breathing, you could put a little dab of essential oil. You could put this. This works really well on the chest. This will help ease pain of coughing, bronchial pain, and help ease those muscles, but also it infuses the kind of menthol camphor is very soothing and cooling. So we use this on joints and muscles. Like if I've got folks that have, arthritis of their knees and ankles and hips and, bursitis and tendonitis or tennis elbow, muscle pain, this is great. So this has a lot of utility. This you can buy online in my store. So I've got that linked. If you're not sure, my store is naturalhealthresources.com. Click on shop clinic store. The other thing here, let me cover this up. This is my herbal tea. And without fail, one of the things that you want to do is you want to lower your inflammatory state, especially here in the winter months. You want to deal with, or you want to address inflammation. Inflammation of your sinuses is the beginning point where we see a reduction in your immune health. When we have reduction in your immune health and the capacity for your sinuses, your eyes, your sinuses, and your throat to ward off infection and illness, you become more compromised. Adding in anti-inflammatories, there's 3 of them, the herbal, botanical, plus turmeric, plus ginger, are amazing. The turmeric and ginger both are lymphatic enhancing. They will get the lymphatic system moving, helping detox and support those swollen lymph nodes that are responding to infection or inflammation. The ginger will actually reduce sinus mucus. So if you're feeling congested even up here in this cavity, and a lot of times the other thing that happens in the winter months that I haven't mentioned is not only is it dry and cold, but we have these weird pressure changes. So if you've got a weird airflow where there's a cold and hot kind of air atmospheric pressure, your body's going to feel that, and that can cause inflammation and stuffiness. And so these passages, these sinus and mucosal passages in the ear, nose, and throat region, they are very susceptible, and ginger, turmeric, and the 3-letter botanical are powerful at healing that. So these are I think $19.99 in my clinic store. Buddha tea is my favorite tea brand. I have been drinking and selling Buddha tea since I opened up my store. They actually have chakra teas, and they're related to the energy centers. The teas are amazing. But they're herbal. They've gone into water soluble sea bumblebee D. Very powerful. And I see Christine Faulkner says that she has that barometric pressure. Very, very common. And when you're dealing with that, these are the things that you would do. You would do your saline spray. I would do the teas, and you can even, if you don't want to buy tea, you can make ginger tea. Grate your ginger, boil it. Grate your turmeric, boil it. You can get capsules of both. The other thing that I recommend is Cold Calm. As you can see, these are love. These are right off my shelves. So Boron, they actually have a trio. I couldn't find the box for my throat calm, but they have Cold Calm, Sinus Calm, and they have Throat Calm. And all of these are homeopathic relief. This is very, very beneficial to supporting the symptoms you experience. So the Cold Calm deals with, and they list the homeopathics. Many homeopathics will address 15 or 20 different symptoms. So a lot of times I've had people say, well, I bought that one homeopathic you recommended, but on the label it didn't say it addresses X, Y, and Z. And they don't operate that way, where the marketing will list all of the items, but on the back of these, they will list, thanks, Pat, they will list the homeopathic and then what it addresses. So for instance, it'll address and relieve sneezing, runny nose, nasal congestion, colds with onset of symptoms, relieves aches and pains with colds, relieves headache, relieves nasal discharge, sneezing attacks, minor sore throat, loss of taste and smell. Okay, so Pulsatilla is the homeopathic in here that is great for the inflammation that people experience when they're losing their sense, and their 2 nerves that get inflamed, and the sense of smell and taste go away. This is what you want to have in your arsenal if you or anybody you know in your family comes into contact with this virus and experiences that homeopathic will address it. The other one is Sinus Calm. Christine, you might actually benefit from this, and the allergy one too. They have Sinus Calm and Throat Calm. Sinus Calm will address sinus pain, post-nasal drip. It'll relieve that. It'll relieve the runny nose. So it's all that sinus related stuff. They have a throat one that relieves sore throat, and they have allergy related ones. Now, the other thing you need in your arsenal, this is a must have. This is my flu vaccine alternative. I don't think I've ever taken the flu vaccine. Yeah, I haven't. So this is what I use as a treatment. I use this as the preventative. This is great. let's see, I always say this wrong. Oscillocynum. But this you can buy on Amazon. I've got a link down below. In here, it's a little vial and it has a whole bunch of pellets. And you put the pellets and you hold them, put them in your mouth, hold them under your tongue. But usually like this, I think has 6. It'll give you 6. You can buy the big packs. Like when all this kicked off, I stocked up. Good news is also a lot of this brand, CVS and Walgreens are now selling this brand. And I have noticed that they've got them up close to the register. And more than likely, if you are in an area where there's a great amount of spread, I know for sure here, all our Walgreens, you can do the drive-through and you can get these things. Like you can call ahead and say, hey, I want to order, can you grab me five of whatever things you need? You can go through the drive-through, pay, and not have to go in. So just know that use your pharmacy drive-through to do your shopping to limit your contact, and they can be accessible. Things like the C. Bumblebee D, these are going to be available more in a clinical setting. That's why we sell these online. And by the way, the herbal, I've had issues with YouTube. Some of you, my regulars, know I got dinged for a multitude of video content. I had a whole playlist. I think I had about 25 videos about that topic, highlighting its benefits, recommendations, dosing, all that good stuff. If you are curious about it, hit my website. I have a free download that talks about how do you dose for it, and the endocannabinoid system. I educated a lot about that. Was interviewed for a documentary series as well about pain management in this category. But with YouTube, they hit our channel really hard. They removed all of that content. I was put in a timeout with YouTube for a little while. And so it's a touchy subject here with us, and I won't ever open ourselves up to potentially have our channel go away. For many of you, it was quite a tough situation. So at any rate, my website's a great resource for that. I have a lot of information there. But what I was going to say is that herbal, the C. Bumblebee D herbal, that compound is actually an immune modulator. And one of the things that there's a ton of research on it is that it has the capacity to help your immune system respond appropriately. It has the capacity to support your T cell and your natural killing cell activity, so that when you're addressing a massive virus or fungal or bacterial invasion, like many of us are dealing with right now globally, it can be a very powerful resource in your healing arsenal. It can be in your preventative arsenal. It can be in your treatment arsenal. So I want to recommend that. I have a link and I have coupon code. There's a 20% off coupon code. And also they have the balm that I love and use at night. And the other thing I do want to recommend, like with this balm, so this is what we sell in my store, because this is a different brand, and it has different ingredients in it. This you can also put on the bottom of your feet. You can use the reflexology points. We have lung points, and they are the tips of your toes. So like if this is your foot, these are the tips of your toes. Smear on the bottom of your toes and get right to this like knuckle point. And that is a really good point to invigorate the lung area. You can do reflexology in those points too. Okay, so let's see. I think, well, honestly, there are a few other things that you can do. So, but what I wanted to highlight today is that we need to be aware that the colder air reduces our immune state. It reduces our immune response. The other thing that gets reduced is your vitamin D levels. And this is where it becomes critical that you need to get your vitamin D tested. So this is vitamin D. We sell these in my Fullscript store. I'm trying to see, did I remove my test kit? I did. But I sell vitamin D test kits. They're a little blood spot, kind of diabetic pinprick type of tests. Get your D levels tested. Know where your levels are at. And then you can make appropriate changes to your daily dosing schedule. Some people need to be at 20,000 IU dosing a day. Some people need to only be at 5,000. Others need to be at 100,000. It sounds like a lot, but the clinical research out there is very fitting for this. Vitamin D is not a vitamin, it's actually a steroid. It's a compound that is required by every single cell in your body. And so, just think about it, 5,000 IUs and you have a billion cells. You need a lot and you need it frequently. And vitamin D is one of the most heavily researched vitamins. I mean, it's a vitamin, but it's also synthesized by our body. So it's not a vitamin, but we label it as a vitamin. D3 is synthesized by our liver. And by the way, friends, if you love this, give me a thumbs up. I'd love to see 100 thumbs ups. Vitamin D is synthesized by our body. If you have immunity challenges, if you have a poor diet, if you have heart disease or thyroid issues, if you have high cholesterol, high triglycerides, if you have inflammation, your vitamin D level, natural synthesis will be lowered. And that can put people in a category or a state where their bodies are less responsive to a viral invasion. What that means is that you are not as equipped as you need to be. You're not as armed and fortified to, when presented with a viral or fungal or bacterial infection, invasion, your body won't be as equipped to manage it. Then with vitamin D and this virus specifically, it's been studied that your natural cytokine function will become dysfunctional. And so that means that the cytokine storm, this inflammatory syndrome that occurs that has all these massive complications within the body, that could be eradicated or lowered by elevating and optimizing your vitamin D. And that is really, really amazing. That research, that's awesome research. Like, we can do that every day. You can test for those levels. You can take daily doses along with all these other things. So I encourage that. The last one that I recommend is colostrum therapy. You guys know that I've been now certified in that. That is a powerful resource to lower inflammation levels, to support our growth hormones that are healthy for our immune state. They also fortify any weaknesses. I have a lot of patients who have polyps and sinus issues, digestive issues, Crohn's and colitis. You can improve your health by incorporating colostrum. And if you are not a breastfed baby like I was not, we need colostrum. We never had it. And so at least do a 6-month course of colostrum to fortify and support your body so that your immune state is responsive. And one of the things that we see, and I see this clinically in my practice, for children, babies, infants who grow up to be children or adults that have immune issues, food allergies, weakened immunity, we can go back, and when I ask, and it's on my intake, and one of the things that I ask in my initial appointment with them is, were you breastfed? And a lot of times I get this, like, nobody's ever asked me that. I have to think about it, or they text their parents. That is really critical for the state of your immune health. And if you are not a vaginally delivered baby and you are not breastfed, one or two of those together puts you at an immune compromised state already. So colostrum therapy is beneficial. Colostrum therapy, I don't know if I've got the link down below. I will get it. I will post the colostrum. Usually I could post the links here, but excuse me, I'm working on my phone because my desktop is having all sorts of issues. It's not, I don't know. I'm hoping my desktop has not failed me. It's giving me some sort of Bluetooth setup assistance, and it's not finding my wireless mouse or trackpad. So whatever. But at any rate, this is really critical, friends. You guys know I'm motivated to help support you and your family. And I'm motivated to get people on board with this effort to eradicate this virus. And one of the ways we can do this is individually taking precautions and measures to support our immune state. Healthier the immune system that you have, the better equipped you are to get through an infection, as well as an infection within your family and your network. And so, that is always my impetus for producing this content for you. If you guys want to support my channel, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Links down below. You can download this free guide. This gets you into my Fullscript store. And so if you buy any of the products in my Fullscript store, that supports our channel. If you want to become one of our channel members, you see comments, I think, let me see, you'll see like Pat and Markets of Sunshine, they're members. We have Christine Faulkner. You see little emojis next to them, and there are different emojis for the time that you've been a member. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but they're all part of our logo. And so each logo part, I have a little leaf. Let me see. This is my business card. So our little logo, each of these little leaves in the green is part of our logo, and you get the bigger logo. And then if you are a member of the YouTube community for 2 years, you get a pink sparkly. Ooh. So we have a few of those 2-year members. So actually, I think it's 1-year membership. But anyway, that's a way to support us. And also, I have a ton of digital guides. So if you're looking for ways to combat thyroid imbalances or hormone health or erectile dysfunction or endometriosis, and I have all of these different guides that I've created. They're my protocols, and you can download them. They're digital. You pay for them through our digital processing, and you get an email that sends you that link, and often it'll send you to the URL instantly so you can download. So there's a lot of different ways that you can support us here, but ultimately, I just want each of you to consider all these different ways of supporting your eyes, your nose, and your throat, your oral cavity, and to have fun with it. Masks are now part of fashion. I think there was $1 million mask a few months ago. Fashion designers are incorporating this into their lives. And we did photos with Santa outside, socially distanced and wearing masks. And, it's one of those things like, it's 2020. That's this year, and that's the way it's going to go. And we're memorializing it, and we're having fun with it. So we had all family members wearing masks. So definitely, I will check out the comments down below. I see, here we are. I missed a lot of your comments. The phone is a little different, but I will be live Wednesday and Friday this week. Friday's our live Q&A. I have begun the editing and shooting of our holiday gift guide. That's going to be different format this year, but amazing items. I have 4 categories that are going to help you all get through this crazy time. But definitely, please hit that like button. I appreciate that. Hit the share button. Share this with your communities. Post to any of your wellness groups that you're a part of. I really appreciate it. And I'm just grateful for your time. I had a lot of you join me throughout today's live, even though I was a little late. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot more news to come on Wednesday. And if I can get that study from Italy, I will try and print that. I could not find the specific study, the specifics, but I will get that for you. And again, USPS operationsanta.com. I'm really excited about that. We're gonna do something fantastic for all these awesome families that are weathering this. So thanks everybody. Be well, be safe, get your fun holiday masks. I'm ordering our Thanksgiving turkey ones later today. And you've got to make the most of it, and we will get through this together. So comment down below on the replay. I want to know how many of you, so on the live chat, I see you guys commenting. When this wraps, comment on the replay. I'm curious, how many of you are now working from home again, at home with kids again? We had a large community, as the US was shut down earlier, and I imagine we'll see more and more people joining our lives with those changes. So thanks for tuning in. Tune in on Wednesday, same time. Hopefully I'll be on my desktop and I'll wire it up better. All right, everybody, have a great day. See you later. Let's see. I don't know how to shut this off. For some reason, I don't know how to shut it off. Let's see, I'm posting that. Okay, let me see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Bye, everybody. I hope you're well, and I will see you guys later. Bye.